Somebody said to me, Ruto will look for you. Look for me. Go and look for God, though. Go and look for God. Don't look for me. And if you come looking for me, I told you and I say again, hata paka inaitarishwa na jina yako William Samoei Ruto. Watu wasemange, unaona hii paka mzee hii? Hii paka ilikuwa ya William Samoei Ruto. It will not be there. It is the time you will know that there are servants of God and there are also servants of God. He who fights the unknown must know that the power of the unknown is unknown. God is very angry. God is very angry with this man. Very angry with this man. Anytime he appears in church, he's going to bribe God. Oh, nimekuja na milioni 5. Hata tunabasi hapa. Sie mwenye alikubali huko Bondo, huko Homa Bay alikubali ataachilia watu. Ta stop abductions. Alikuwa na stop kichwa inatoka wapi? Si anajua ni yeye. Hata niwaambie siku za Moi. Hey, tulitishwa hii Kenya. Nyayo House pale chini. Oh, hapo ndiye alisomea. Moi yako wapi? Moi yako wapi? Bro, Moi yako wapi? You're a failure.
Yes.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, my brother.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Glad to see you again.
Yes.
Yeah, you're very you're really shining.
Yeah, of course.
How was your?
You must begin the year shining.
How was you? So I'm not shining.
No, I'm saying you must.
Okay.
Even you are shining, but everybody shine differently. You know, you are gold, silver, bronze. They shine differently. So I don't know which one, whether you are gold, silver, platinum, whatever. But I don't know which one I'm shining. For me, I think I'm shining. Charcoal. You know, charcoal, African.
Right.
So, well, you said, how did I begin the year? Do I even know? I've always believed that if you know how your year begins, then actually you have not enjoyed it. I was in Malindi, and I can tell you that by the time people are counting 1, 2, 3 to the beginning of the year, me, I was not aware. I just woke up the next day, and I'm being told it's 1st of January 2025, and I took breakfast, and life continued. So, in other words, we had fun with family, with friends, and in some very nice place in Malindi. So, Malindi is like home to me. I was also crowned as the Kaya Elder on 31st of December 2024. And I was given a name called Carissa, which means a young shepherd. So I have a responsibility even to shepherd this discussion. So, but I know you're the anchor, but I can shepherd the discussion.
No problem. No problem.
Yes.
I know when we are with you in the same platform, we can both do the same thing. Eh?
Yeah. Yes.
So that is how you began your year.
Yeah. Yes.
But
of course, the other thing also just to share what happens is that I was so hurt by so many things which I saw. I was, first of all, over Christmas, I was in Ugenya, in Siaya, and I was hearing that Luos are in government, but even there were no decorations. There were no decorations even in most parts of the towns, like Siaya town. You could drive through it without seeing any single decoration. You would go to towns like Nyadorera, you'd go to towns like Akala, you'd come to Gunja, those things. Even Kisumu had little decorations, and there was no fireworks in Kisumu.
There was no fireworks.
So Kisumu being a city without fireworks is a shame. I also checked Eldoret is a new city. There was no fireworks in Eldoret. But I saw there was fireworks in Malindi, there was fireworks in Mombasa, but those ones were done actually mostly by the foreigners. Nairobi had fireworks as well.
But the one of the KICC failed.
Yeah, so those are the issues I'm saying that it shows the economy is not really performing very well. Money is not circulating. So it made me do analysis, and I went to talk to different people. I talked to watchmen. I talked to security guards. I talked to some people, the military who lives along the coastal region, even from the ones in Nairobi. I also did talk to policemen. Then I discovered that, do you know the average salary of those people working as security guards is around 17,000 shillings?
17,000.
Yes, and also they get deducted house levy, NSSF, what. So with those deductions, they actually take home around 11,000 to 10,000. So what can you celebrate with that? And now you come to the guys like the military. A cadet, which is the entry level, earns an average of 24. Not entry level. Cadets earn around 24,565 shillings. Now, what can you celebrate if you are a cadet? Now, when you come home, you say you are a soldier.
You are a soldier.
Civil.
People see you as a soldier.
People see you as a soldier, so they expect some big wallets.
Yeah.
Yet you earn 24,000 shillings. You have kids. Your family to take care of. And also you get deduction of affordable housing among other taxes. Then you come to police. The entry level is a corporal, isn't it? Yeah, those ones also earn 25,000. Actually, I got surprised that a a corporal police earns more than an entry military. I am surprised, but I have someone to falsify, but those are the evidence I got. So you realize money is not moving for people. Taxation is affecting people. And I hear someone saying, the president said in the end of the year that he has managed the economy. The economy is performing very well. And we know very well that you can't give yourself a scorecard. So that's the only sad part of it. But nevertheless, we thank God for being here. And I want to tell people that let us declare 2025 a year of Jubilee. The Pope, because know me, I'm Catholic. I also work for Uzima University, which is a Catholic institution. I'm also now working with Hekima University. In the area as a faculty. Of course, there will be some other appointments that might come by. We are in discussion, but I don't want to preempt too much. What I'm trying to say is that Hekima has always been there because I'm a Jesuit. I got the Jesuit education, and even the ideas of some program in Uzima, I was already working when I was working with the Jesuits. When I was working with the Jesuits, I was helping Uzima University come up with some plans here and there. So that simply means that I was talking to one priest who is a Jesuit. The Pope has declared 2025 as a year of Jubilee. And he said that this is going to be a year of countless blessings. And that's why you see in the Cathedral, St. Peter's Square, he has opened some doors which are never opened. So even there's a direction that every bishop, Catholic bishop, there's always a door that's never opened. So that door opens to open opportunities. So I also want to urge Kenyans, I want to urge young people and the youths. Let's also look at this year, in spite of the difficulty we can see, God can always bring Jubilee. Jubilee is coming from the history of Israelites. God brought blessings, so we must not ignore the blessings coming our way. And the blessings can come when you sit in the house and criticize in the social media. Blessings also comes if you ukijituma, isn't it? So let's also jitume. Alafu sisi pia kama uko nafasi fungulia watu wapate nafasi. Just open up yourself. Now in your company, you can invest and grow the company, then employ 1, 2, 3 people. Like Unzima, we want to expand, make it big. We are having a very big expansion plans, and we have a lot of faith in that. At Hekima College, University, also we are planning to do big investment to expand. We have new programs coming. It's a year of growth because we can't sit here. We can't sit here as leaders only to cry. Because, for example, our tears, we have cried for 2 years of the Kenya Kwanza administration. But I'm also thinking that these tears are now stopping us from seeing sunrise because sun is rising. The Pope has spoken. The Pope is infallible. The Pope cannot be wrong. So for the Pope to look at the situation, remember during COVID, never said this, just when quiet, he talked about prayer. The Pope has even said this is the year where Africa will be forgiven their debts. The Pope has also pronounced that this is a year of a lot of political breakthroughs across the world, not just in Europe, but also in Africa. So I think that I'm advised by my soul that I need to open up to what the Pope says because I'm a Catholic and I believe fully on the Catholic doctrines and the teachings, and the Pope is infallible on matters faith and moral. And opportunities is in the sphere of faith. Being optimistic is about being faith because being faith means to believe in the things unseen. So the things we have not seen, we might see them. And let no one say that no one can stand on their way. Even if you say William Ruto is the president, who can stand on the way of God?
No one.
So whoever you think is stopping you from gaining what you want to gain, just believe in God. If you can't believe in God, then go believe in somebody else if you think they can. But for me, because I believe in God, I don't want to explain to you how your opportunity will come your way, but I want to declare opportunity in your life now that you go forward. Because I don't want to preach me, I'm not a pastor. You're the one who can preach better. Now, for me, I just believe on good tidings for this year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great. Now, Prof, that's being said, you are a professor.
Yes.
And you know more of education, the challenges, the way these things can work. And right now we have got a very big challenge in education, whereby the CS of education is not sure what it's doing. Education sector is like nothing is clear. Now the grade 8 is supposed to go to grade 9. No schools are built. Parents are confused. What is really going on? What is happening? Because I'm really failing to understand whether the CS of education doesn't understand this new model or what's going on?
First of all, Bon, let us not say the education sector is in trouble. Which sector isn't? Tell me one single sector which is working of the economy.
None.
Education sector, you say it's in trouble, isn't it? Go to healthcare. Is it working?
No.
Now go to agriculture.
But yesterday, Aden Duale now is the CS of agriculture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what will he do there? So the question is, the country is in trouble. That's why I'm calling upon the blessings of God to come forward so that the blessings of God can salvage Kenyans. Remember, we are not in the hands of the government.
Yeah.
We're in the hands of God. So that gives us hope. So the government of Kenya is suffering from gross incompetence and then gross corruption. Grossly corrupt, grossly incompetent. Those are the main problems disturbing us. Where is that coming from? The root cause of that issue is lack of patriotism. You know, if the current administration has patriotism, they would get somebody else who is more competent to solve the Kenyan problem than to play politics. That these people helped me become president, so I have to die with them, isn't it? Yeah. So that's lack of patriotism. Those people can say, well, we'll become president, but now we are in trouble. Appoint the right people to deliver to the country. Yeah. You could make the appointment. Now, you heard that ODM gave William Ruto a team of experts, isn't it? Yeah. Why is all sectors of the economy suffering and yet you have a team of experts? Now, you see, John Mbadi said that he has not been able to disburse money to the education sector, isn't it? That is treasury, isn't it? Yeah. Energy, the cost of energy has gone up, isn't it? Now, people cannot even afford tokens, isn't it? I was in a house in Mombasa and also another house in Malindi where the connection is there, but we're in darkness because that family could not afford token. So it's not about anymore about, so energy sector not working. Road infrastructure, you travel, isn't it? How nice is it to drive on these roads?
It's not nice.
Like now, if you drive from...
The Nairobi Nakuru, most of the Nairobi Nakuru.
Yes, but even if you do Mtito, Voi is terrible. So what I'm trying to say is that tell me which sector of the economy is working. There's none. So the issue is that there's a growth in incompetence. But let me now zero into the education sector. The education sector, first of all, is suffering from funding. Yet we are collecting taxes and also we are borrowing. But where is the money going? That question has to be answered by the people in Treasury. Opio and I, John Mbadi, Oparanya, Joho, joined Ruto government. Did they join it to improve it? And has it improved? Or did they join it to help it sink? Broad-based government, bread-based government, has it brought bread? And has it brought other Kenyans? Because I'm hearing people saying Luos are in government, isn't it? But how can Luos be in government and schools are not open in Luo Nyanza? If Luos were in government, then the schools in Luo Nyanza should be working while schools in the central is not working. Are Kalenjins in government? No. Because then schools in Kalenjin land are equally not working, isn't it? So let us be honest. The people in government are not any tribe like Kalenjin, Luo or something. We have two communities in Kenya, isn't it? Looters and the looted. So if the looters are in government, isn't it? And the problem is that they lack patriotism, then every sector will be in trouble because everybody you are bringing is to loot. Mining. What's happening in mining? What is happening in agriculture? Nothing is working. Education not working. But taxes are being collected aggressively, isn't it? So the point I'm trying to draw here is that the education sector is not working because these guys are not fixing the education. There's no funding for education, isn't it? Yeah. Even the class 9, grade 9 has not been, the classrooms have not been built. Results are not out, isn't it?
Yeah.
How would we be on the second week of January when you went for exam? You did exam in October, isn't it? Yeah. And you have not seen the results. I have results of information that as per 29th of October, all the examination markers, the examiners had marked the exams and handed over the final copy. I said this on TikTok, if you look at my TikTok, and I said the results are being cooked, that's why they're not out. It means this cooking is taking longer than necessary. Sasa zinachomeka sasa. Unajua unaweza pika mpaka ichomeke. So there's a lot of this is a crisis. There's no problem. It's like now what?
Crisis.
Imagine you take it easy. If you start for that exam, you don't know unaenda ama hawendi. Umepita haujapita. Unaona? So that's the problem. Now, the issue again of the issue of disbursement of funds, capitation to universities, to primary schools and the rest, John Badi has not disbursed the money. This money was passed in the budget back in June, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the government budgeted for what they don't have. Because this is not money which was just surprise. Go to the education is the biggest, gets the biggest proportion of funds in the budget, isn't it? How comes they are not getting their money? It also means education is a priority, isn't it? How come the money has not come by? The other thing I also saw, even the money for MPs, how comes the money for the MPs for CDF and bursaries, they already received, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yet the ones for education by national government, they have not received. What are MPs trying to tell us? For them, if there's no CDF or money has not been released, there's a strike. They cannot go to parliament. They cannot attend a meeting. But for students, why are they not on strike on behalf of the whole country? Which means there's a systemic failure in parliament and the executive, because the people dispersing the money is the executive, isn't it?
Yeah.
The executive, the ministers, deputy president, and the president, and the PSS, isn't it? Together, that's the executive, isn't it? And then parliament receives their money, but they don't put the money in the right place. You heard that kids who come from poor families did not see bursary. The ones from rich families get bursary. Do you know why? Do you know why?
No.
Do you know that CDF checks are sold? So only the person who is rich can buy the check. Yeah. So if there's a bursary for 50,000, you might pay 5,000 to get that check. Now, you go to my village in Siaya. You come from Uganda, isn't it? Yeah. How many people can afford 5,000 to give so that they get a check of 50,000? So if you have to give 20,000, you pay 2,000, isn't it? Yeah. If you have to get a check of 5,000, you get 1,000. So only rich people can afford to buy the bursary check. And that's why it's happening. So not all MPs, but majorly, it's a major problem everywhere in Kenya. That's why we need alternative leadership. So there's a big problem, my brother. For me, let me give you a solution, because I'm a leader. I'm not here just to vent. The solution can be the following. Do you know that there's around 10,830 secondary schools in Kenya? And the government knows them by name.
And where they are. And
who is the head teacher. Isn't it? There is around 32,900 and something primary schools. Isn't it? We know them by name. Isn't it? So instead of giving these MPs money to take there, why don't you send the check to the school? We even know the number of pupils in each and every primary school, each and every secondary school. Why don't this check go there? And then the check pays out. They'll say, oh, you can't trust head teachers, isn't it? But it worked before. Head teachers ran school like that. So according to me, there's a big problem, and that's one of the solutions we have. Secondly, these CDF bursary funds need to be put in the public finance management. When you put them in public finance management, the auditing rigor of auditing like public funds can be done. Therefore, the MPs might be forced to do it. I went to sit down with the board of CDF. I interviewed them to ask them what are the problems. The problem of this CDF is a structural problem, because the CDF and even the bursary funds look like the pocket money for the MP. In fact, one Moses Wetangula said, MPs are village ATMs. That's why they need CDF.
The village ATMs.
Yes, they're the village ATMs. So this CDF is a village ATM, which means a village ATM can be used the way you want, isn't it? So we need to have a structural ways on how to address it, so that at least that these young people, the students can actually compromise. And I believe that education is a right for each and every citizen. And there should be no ubaguzi to access education. And also education is the most important equalizer. I was born in Siaya, in Ugenya. My father was a catechist. He earned 1,500
monthly.
How did I become a professor? Is because education helped me, isn't it? If education was biased, singekuwa professor.
Yeah, that's true.
So I see every child in Kenya needs to have this same opportunity we had. But we cannot allow a government to do what they want with the future of our children. That's why I'm telling you, there is a need for a serious overhaul in the system. And that's why I saw this discussion going on here, where this guy called Harvey is fighting Martha Koome, saying Martha Koome is incompetent, and also fighting judiciary. Let me tell you what, my brother. Let us not go there. I want to address Harvey. My brother, Harvey, you are intelligent, man. But let's be honest. Your intelligence can also be used against you, against yourself, or against the nation. Among the three arms of government, the most performing arm of government is judiciary. I would give them a B, if not a B+. The executive, which is the first arm of government, actually they have been given an E by Infotrack Harris. They score 17%. 17% is an E because E begins from 27 and below. Parliament has always been used as a rubber stamp. So Parliament accepted the finance bill, judiciary rejected it. House levy, judiciary rejected it. They passed Nani, judiciary rejected it. They passed everything they passed. SHA, SHIF, isn't it? University funding model. All these they have passed, but the High Court has reversed them. Parliament has even legitimized abduction now. You saw the statement from the majority leader. They are saying that these young people should be abducted, isn't it? Sudi has said if he was the CS Interior, he could have dealt with them, and he's an MP. So this parliament should go home first. Actually, the executive should go home first, followed by parliament, then you can discuss about judiciary. Judiciary is the last man or the last woman standing for Kenya. And for me, judiciary has been right when the executive is wrong. Judiciary has been right when parliament is wrong. So Martha Koome should not feel sorry for herself. In fact, let me take this chance. I'm a son of a woman. If not, my mother could not be a professor. So I don't want someone to genderize this issue, saying, oh, this woman, no, she's the CJ. That's what you should be seeing. Why are you seeing a woman in her? Isn't it? She's not your wife, isn't it? Let us see her as a CJ. How comes when a man is a CJ, we see CJ, we don't see a man in him, isn't it? When a woman is a CJ, you see a woman in the CJ. No, she's not a woman. She's not your woman, isn't it? She is Kenya's CJ, period.
And she's there because she qualifies to be there.
Yes, and she'll be respected for that. If she does not qualify, you go to court, isn't it? And remove her through a legal process. Understand me? So I'm not happy with Harvey, my brother. And I want to say the following. I've seen him giving a very brilliant explanation why Martha Koome does not deserve to be CJ by comparing her with the former Chief Justice Willie Mutunga. Let me tell my brother Harvey again. While that is true, Martha Koome is a CJ in the administration led by William Ruto. Isn't it? Willie Mutunga was a CJ when Kibaki was the president. I'm asking Harvey, if you want to be a CJ, would you like to be a CJ in Ruto's administration or Kibaki's administration? You get me? And I can tell you honestly, Kibaki used not to interfere, isn't it? But Ruto is a different president. I don't want to say he's a different president, isn't it? And look at the abduction taking place. Were they there during Kibaki's time?
No, not.
The arrests, the killings. No. So then you cannot compare theoretically or academically the performance of Martha Koome with Willie Mutunga without knowing which kind of parliament was there during Kibaki. Do you know how good that parliament was? Do you know that Kibaki's parliament, we even had ODM stronger in parliament than PNU? So according to me, parliament was strong during Kibaki's. And when Willie Mutunga was CJ. Now we have a parliament that has no brain of itself. They have their brain cells died. I know some people say, oh, but their brain cells died because when they are voting for the finance bill, they accepted it and passed it, isn't it? Then Ruto rejected it after Gen Z went to demonstration. Then again, they clap for him.
They were celebrating.
Isn't it? Yeah. In the morning, they were passing Adani. When Opewa and I was there, I told them Adani is good, isn't it? Yeah. Irrespective of indictment in the US, they clap for Opewa and I, isn't it? Yeah. In the afternoon, same day, William Ruto rejected Adani and they gave him standing ovation. So do they have a brain for themselves? This parliament should go home like yesterday. So executive will go home, parliament should go home. Then is when we can talk about judiciary. But if judiciary, if executive and parliament going home, don't even discuss about judiciary. For me, we must know that the only person who can stand for us now is judiciary. Even me born tukikokosana sahi, tutaenda kwa judiciary. Judiciary has made some fundamental decisions. For example, habeas corpus against the Kitengela 3, they did it. Yeah. Judiciary, in this current administration, with William Ruto as the president, issued arrest warrant to a sitting inspector general. Are you getting my point?
Yeah, I'm getting you.
Can Willie Mutunga, as a judge, if he said when he was a judge, he declared that these people won the election when they knew election was rigged and he was afraid for his life. Can he give arrest warrant to inspector general?
Cannot.
When the policeman guarding you as a judge is standing next to you, instructed by inspector general, you are giving arrest warrant to inspector general. That's courage of the judiciary. Let's give it to them.
And I think suppose Willie Mutunga was the CJ right now, like taking the position of Martha Koome. It could have been even worse than Martha Koome.
Yes, I'm telling you. Give it to her. By the way, I also don't like putting this to personality. Let's just give credit to judiciary as a whole. Yeah. But of course, a war against Martha Koome is a fight against the judiciary. So I'm equally not for that fight. For me, I believe that the single problem we are having is poor leadership in Kenya. And the ultimate leader in Kenya is the president, so he takes heat from there. I'm not against him, I'm just trying to say, if there's poor leadership in the country, who is the ultimate leader? It's him. Yeah. So let it be. So, and I don't want to do name calling because I'm an academic. I don't want to go into name calling, fighting for nothing, but as an academic also give our point. The other day I saw the dean of Aga Khan Medical School also giving his point. We are being told as academic we can't talk. No, we can talk. We can't keep quiet when our country is in trouble. When you go to the US, Harvard, MIT, Boston professors, they come and correct the government. And correcting government does not mean you are competing with the government. Why are we academics? Why should a government pay our school fees and they don't want us to use the knowledge we gain by the school fees they pay? I was educated here in Kenya, primary school, secondary school, isn't it? It's only my graduate degree, the first degree I got in Uganda. Then I also got a master's here in Kenya, isn't it? I got another master's abroad, but I got at least a master's here, secondary school and primary school. So why should you invest in education when people use their literacy, then you fight them back? No.
Now, Prof, talking about, let us now talk about this issue because it's also one of the things that is going to affect us. And I think one of the main person, the main character here that is going to be affected, and I think this is the only way. In fact, one of the ways that is making William Samoei Ruto to go down, this issue of tribal mobilization. Now, if you, I know it was during your holiday time, but I think you watched what happened in Bungoma during Wetangula's mother's burial, whereby Natembeya tried to ask William Ruto politely that the abduction should stop, and then after that, Kimani Ichung'wah stood up and started talking negatively about Natembeya in Western and is a Kikuyu. This thing has brought a lot of problems whereby the people of Western are saying that there's no way someone from another tribe from Central can come to Western and lecture their governor. And also, the people of Central are saying that there is no way Kimani Ichung'wah can go to another county and lecture them and lecture the people of the county. You suppose maybe the way they are calling that is William Ruto's Kibaraka, you should go back to Central and lecture them there. So what is it? Do you think that this is going to make William Ruto fail?
First of all, as a leader, in this country, I don't want any conversation to be tribalized.
Yeah.
So whether you come from Turkana or you come from Mombasa, you can correct anybody, anywhere, irrespective of where you're speaking. So the tribal thing is not the issue. The issue was that how right was Ichung'wah and how wrong was him. Let's focus on this substance, because I'm an academic, isn't it? For us, when we're analyzing the trends in economics, we don't see tribes there. In fact, no one can be taken to the laboratory and tested and proven
that you're a Kikuyu.
Tribe is not even scientific. Let's be honest. I'm sorry to say that.
It's okay.
So when you put that aside, what we need to be discussing about is that was Ichung'wah right on lecturing Natembeya, not whether Ichung'wah came from Mount Kenya. Of course, the Mount Kenya people are asking, if yourself, you cannot be accepted here, how do you think you can correct somebody outside? But that's a story for another day. But substantively, that was a very big mistake by Ichung'wah, not because of the tribal thing, but because of the content, because he was supporting abduction. Natembeya stood because he's a security expert and said, no, abduction is wrong. And he's saying with a heavy heart, he's sort of even tried to tell the president, I wouldn't want to say this, but I have to say it, isn't it? So I stand very firmly with Natembeya's sentiments. Whatever happened, the reactions, those are now neither here nor there. But I stand very strongly with Natembeya and his sentiments that abduction is wrong. And I think I might want to tackle that abduction now. First of all, why abduction as a response to dissent is wrong is that I read the Constitution. There's nowhere in the Constitution that protects anybody from being insulted. There's nowhere. Can you imagine that?
Constitutionally?
Yes, there's nothing. You can say, Fred, you're stupid. I can't take you to court. You said I'm stupid. Which violation is it? If you say Fred is stupid. You see, we are on the media with you. Have you ever seen people insulting me on the media? Who is Professor Wapi?
A lot.
But they have their right to criticize me. And I don't react. You see me laughing and say, yeah, that is a good point. Let them say what they want, isn't it? Do you know you cannot take anybody to court that they insulted you? But what they can do is that they have to confess their sins to God. That's the only thing they can do. There's nothing else. I don't think there's something I can do. Maybe you can go and tell their pastor, please pray for Bond to stop insulting me. Maybe. But there's
if you feel like now the insult is too much.
So I want to tell anybody thinking that when young people come out with those images to express their sentiments, because they went to the street to give their life, blood and sweat. They were shot, they died, and no one has listened. You get my point? No one has? So putting the president's image in a coffin is not, it's an analogy, it's an allegory, it's metaphorical. They actually don't mean don't mean he's dead. They don't even wish him dead. What does that mean? If we tell you, Murkomen is showing opulence, he's corrupt, don't put in the cabinet. You take him another ministry, then you give him interior. Interior is actually in charge of security. Youths are being abducted, they are being killed. That's what they are protesting. Then again, you put the person they didn't want there. Then you are dead. I mean, you are dead means that you can't feel. You have no feeling. For me, there's one big problem I have with the current president. And this is not a personal thing. It is ideological. Does this man have empathy? Does this man have a conscience? When somebody has died telling you what you should not do, then you do it. Even as Africans, when you go for funeral, when you bury somebody you respect, you usually say, the only thing we can give to this man is to live what he taught us. Isn't it? So young people died like Narek Masai, isn't it? They protested something. isn't it? Why do you do that thing? It is disrespectful to their death, physical one. So, Kibet, Wakina Muteti, Billy Mwangi, they should be trying to tell this man, we have told you in all ways, can we now just do it in the media?
In the media.
So for me, I have no problem being put in a coffin if my action looks like I'm in the coffin, isn't it? So the president should not look at this personally, should look at it metaphorically. What are these people saying? Responding by abducting them is not helpful, because even if you take these guys to a court of law, cybercrime, there's nothing like that. There's no cybercrime they have committed. You know, cybercrime has to do with people's information, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which information have they taken from you?
Nothing.
So which is cybercrime? I know law. There's no cybercrime. It can't pass. It's just like since independence. Have you heard this crime called unlawful assembly? Have you heard it? There is no single prosecution that have succeeded on unlawful assembly. Zero. No one. There is no single judge that can come up with a legal argument for unlawful assembly. Does not work. They tell me somebody was jailed for unlawful assembly. You can have detention, which is political, but not jail. So all this that they're trying to bring, that cannot pass the test of law. So these young people do not deserve to be done for what they have done. Then secondly, my biggest problem again on this matter is that abduction is not the best thing to do if you are a leader of the people. President William Ruto is the leader in Kenya. Leadership is about stewardship. Stewardship over what? Resources, isn't it? And there are three resources. One, physical resources, which is land, sea, and air, and what is inside them, isn't it? The second one is financial resources, isn't it? Which is the taxes you collect and the money you borrow. The last one is the human resource, which is the young people. All Kenyans, we are a resource. So if you are a head of state and you have brilliant people, more brilliant than you, should you put them in jail? Should you abduct them for 32 days, for 2 weeks? Or should you put that resource into use that can add value? Because even the story of the talent, remember the guy who was given 3 talents, isn't it? He made them what?
He made them 6.
6, isn't it? That's what William has been given. 1, human resource. 2, financial resource. 3, natural resources, isn't it? Yeah. What are you doing with them? If it's financial resource, corruption, isn't it? Is it not?
It is.
See, corruption is the order of the day. See, I've told you this government is grossly corrupt. Now, human resource, abduction, unlawful arrest, killing, isn't it? Is there going to be a return on investment that God has given the president, the human resource that is the youth? If you are abducting them, education system is not working, isn't it? What's working is abduction, isn't it? Unlawful arrest, killings is working, isn't it? But what needs to work is not working. Land grabbing. Airport, isn't it? That's air now, isn't it? Port also, there's a lot of issues there in the sea.
Yeah, the sea.
You put somebody in charge of mining who cannot mine anything. Now they want to put money in counting fish in the lake.
In the lake.
And the Indian Ocean.
How can you count fish?
So what I'm trying to say in short is that the instruction is very clear. God has given the president 3 talents, isn't it? The question which will be asked at the end of the year, how have you added value to these resources? So abducting these people, instead of abducting them, if they are brilliant, because for sure, let me tell you what, these young people are more brilliant than the administration. That's why we staged a demonstration and we entered parliament. A demonstration which has taken place, even William was doing a demonstration. He never had managed to enter parliament, isn't it? Raila Odinga is known as the chief of demos, isn't it? Mandamano, mother of all, never entered parliament. For us, we didn't call it mother of all Mandamano, but it entered parliament, isn't it? So it means there's some brilliance in the young people, isn't it? That it surpasses the one for their leaders. When the lead is more advanced, more intelligent than the leader, the leader is in trouble. Waswahili wamesema mjinga akirevuka mwerevu kwa mashakani, sivyo? So wako mashakani, ndio maana wana abduct these people. When someone can't reason, they beat you. That's why some men beat women.
Because they can't reason.
Yes, when a woman challenges you,
the fluid
they feel intelligent. Yes, when you have a brilliant woman, when they challenge you, if instead of reasoning them, you beat them. So that's why the government is abducting these people, because they can't reason with them. And I can say, if you have 10 people posting you, if you reason with them, you win 2. You win with 8. Reason with another 8, you win 2. You win with 6. Before you realize you have 2. Then if you have 8 people against 2, that 8 people will tell the remaining 2, you guys, we are no longer with you. And then you finish the game. So these things are, when you have 10 people who disagree with you, then you abduct 10. If 1 million people are behind each of them, you have 10 million people against you. Which one do you want? So this should be a game of subtraction, not multiplication. So according to me, abduction is wrong. And it's seriously wrong. And I can tell you that countries like South Korea, Japan, Singapore, Germany also went through an area where there's what you call demographic dividends. When young population was more, they were more intelligent, they are more educated, they are more qualified. They should be put in innovation hubs to generate knowledge and grow the economy, to solve the economic challenges like the Shah, the Chief. For example, I'm a professor. I'm a professor of economics. When I tell you this economic model you're using cannot work, then you arrest me and put me in a cell for 2 days, 4 days, like the president arrested me last time, took me to a cell. When I go and said that the economic model we are using will kill this economy, then you call Strathmore to fire me. Are you using my knowledge or you are destroying my knowledge?
Destroying.
So now Tanzania, Ethiopia, Rwanda is using their youth in innovation hubs, isn't it? Kenya is abducting their youth and putting them in a cell. Now, after 10 years, will we say, wow, Ethiopia is ahead of us? It is happening now. That's why I would also want to tell Mr. President and the whole government, stop abductions, put this youth into use, and they will have no time to think about you. They'll be thinking about their work. And just like if you have a wife, for you, you're busy at work. For her, she's waiting for you at home. She has time to check your phone. She has time to check whom you are with. She has time to call your friend to check, are you with the bond? Give her a job. She'll be dealing with the problems of that work just like you, isn't it? So then there'll be understanding here. Everybody's busy. When you come home, hakuna mtu anapigia mgeni kelele, unalala. Like now, if you are a wife who does not go to work, when you go home, like some men don't want their wives to work. When you go home, this woman has been reflecting about how to deal with you from morning until evening. Ukifika, anakutolea encyclopedia. Hii ndio makosa yako. Have you ever gone home? You have to tell me, let me tell you. When you hear, let me tell you, toka kwa nyumba. Akona thesis.
Let me tell, because she was idle during the day.
No, she was not idle. She was reflecting. She had time. She has even done research. And she has facts, not stories. Facts. Ukasema, I don't know Alice. Alice is the girl who was putting on a white skirt and a brown. You can't win. So instead of allowing this youth to analyze how you are moving, you are flying too much, you are talking too much, you are lying, they'll be busy working. Hata ukidanganya hakuna mtu atajua. So the president just needs to come back and sort these people and move on. I think that's why I can say abduction. Yeah. Now, when you talk about the issue, which you discuss about the issue of tribal mobilization, Uhuru Kenyatta did a bet on the Kalenjin Kikuyu vote, isn't it? And then became president, isn't it?
Yeah.
Moi used to bet on the Kalenjin and the Kikuyu vote, isn't it? And he won the election every time. Or maybe he won, whatever.
Yeah, whatever means.
Uhuru did the same, Kibaki did the same, Atolu Moi did the same. Now, Ruto banked on Kikuyu and Kalenjin vote. Then a bit of additions elsewhere, just like any other president. I remember I was talking one day to Alfred Getonga, who happens to be someone I know well.
But then you should organize for me at least to meet him one day. I know you can do that.
Alfred is... I don't know whether you'll accept, but you can take coffee with him, but I don't think you can take an interview. I don't think
coffee is enough.
He knows too much, so I don't think I can take an interview. So he told me, and maybe I'm sorry to disclose this, maybe I've not asked his permission, that there's a day, and I'm saying this because of my respect for President Uhuru Kenyatta. They went for a workshop after Uhuru won the first election, and he was president, and he began ruling. Then he told Uhuru that, do you know you are a president, but you are not elected by Kenyans? Then Uhuru got mad. Imagine you are a president,
and somebody tells you,
and someone is telling you are a president, but you're not elected by Kenyans.
But not elected by Kenyans.
So Uhuru got, if that's what brought you here, you guys go home. Let's have lunch and go. Then Alfred say, hey, Mr. President, just listen. What I mean is that the number of votes that you got from Kikuyu land is what has made you president. You got very many votes from Kikuyu and Kalenjin. Very few votes from Luo Nyanza, few votes from Elwes, isn't
Western,
it? So he told Uhuru, as you begin running, you're beginning to run the government when you are not being elected by Kenya. How can you win the heads and the hearts of the other people? So that the next election, you are a Kenyan president elected by Kenyans. So Uhuru made an effort. How he went, I don't want to go to details, but I'm just giving you this scenario. I was so moved by that. So William Ruto needs to know that he's the president of Kenya, but he was elected majorly by the Kalenjins and the Kikuyus, isn't it? The blue wave was very big. Geographically, blue was everywhere, isn't it? But numerically, there was yellow fever.
Yeah.
The yellow was concentrated in Mount Kenya and Rift Valley, and that's why he won the election.
Yeah.
Now he's telling us that he can take the yellow from Mount Kenya and transplant it in Western Kenya. That's arithmetical error. It will not work. It just can't work. I've done all the maths. Sometimes I sit and calculate, it does not work. Because look here, I look at turnout. Luos, the turnout in Kisumu County was 65%, and Raila is running for president, isn't it? 700,000 votes was slept under mattresses when Raila is running. Their son, isn't it?
The person they call Baba.
Yeah. How much more will sleep for William Ruto? I drove my car from Nairobi to Kenya to cast that one vote and drove back. I was a pundit in Bomas. Can you imagine, with my fuel, no one paid me. Driving from Nairobi to Kenya to cast a vote, then come back by 10 a.m. I was in Bomas analyzing the election. How many people will do that for him? How many people boarded vehicles to go vote for Raila Odinga in Luo Nyanza? How many will do when Ruto is vying? So first of all, the turnout will be very low. If at all, they are the ones giving him the vote.
That's true.
Isn't it? Secondly, these Luos don't believe on anything he's doing. For example, I've heard people saying he has forgotten about Mount Kenya. He's now working in Luo Nyanza. Which project has been moved from Mount Kenya to Luo Nyanza? Barabara gani? Which road? Which hospital?
Nothing.
Which project?
No project.
So what is it that he has transferred? What he has done, he's visiting more there and less this side, isn't it? Well, his visits is only helping people in the local economy. Kama unaweza uza mandazi, pengine mafuta pale, hoteli. Those are just consumption, isn't it? But there's no mega project. I also saw him promise Luo Nyanza a total promises he made when he was going for the thanks for the homecoming for all the CSS. Was 5.1 trillion.
The promises.
Luo Nyanza and Kisii. Total, actually Western Kenya. Luo Nyanza, Kisii, and the Western where Oparanya was, isn't it? The total budget for those, I counted one by one. Road pale, nini, hospitali pale, factory pale, nini pale, zvi nini, clinic pale, zvi highway there, zvi nini. A total of 5.1 trillion. The Kenyan budget is 4.2 trillion. How can one region get allocations
more than the
bigger
budget.
than the national budget. So what is going to happen is that the way Mount Kenya were not happy with his promises, which he didn't fulfill, the same thing will happen in Luo Nyanza because Mount Kenya has gone through the script for 2 years.
Yeah, for 2 years.
It?
Yeah.
Now, the Luos began this script in July last year, isn't it? See, July is coming this year. Let us wait and see whether the promises that are being promised are being fulfilled. Because the disadvantage with William Ruto, he gives the dates even.
Yeah.
He gives the amount and the dates. Kabla mwaka hajaisha. Sivyo?
Barabara.
Mwaka ujao. Sivyo?
Yeah.
Kabla tarehe fulani. Sivyo? So, for us, we have recorded them one by one, isn't it? And we have recorded with the amount. So we'll go back and tell Luos, walisema hii tarehe haijafika. You had the issue of gas.
Yeah.
He promised people when the gas will go down, how much will be. He talked about the issue of the gas cylinders, everything in details, isn't it? So those promises have not happened. So that is the problem that is going to happen, that the unfulfilled promises that made Mount Kenya to boil, Luos will not receive. Unless Luos are romantic enough to listen to romance, isn't it?
The mind
Remember
romance.
also, my fellow Luos, I'm sorry to tell you that we tend to buy romance more than buying substance. And I say we, I'm also a victim. Can you imagine? Raila Odinga is a very famous person in Luo Nyanza, isn't it?
That's true.
Now tell me the substance. For us, we just love people for love, isn't it? So maybe this could be the only advantage Ruto has, isn't it?
Love.
That we can just love him for love.
For love.
Look at Luo Nyanza. The poverty levels are very high. Of course, people say it's because we have been in opposition, but we are never in opposition. Raila has always been in government.
Yeah.
So we can't say we are in opposition. He was a prime minister, isn't it? Whatever. We can count and count. People can say a few roads here and there, but poverty levels are still high and it's growing. So I don't want to discuss that for detail because I don't want to talk about Baba. When you call somebody Baba, you don't
give
talk
him
about
respect.
them. You give them respect. So I don't want to talk about him. But now, come here. Do you know why Mount Kenya is unhappy? People think because of the impeachment of Gachagua. No. Mount Kenya is unhappy because of the unfulfilled promises. Mount Kenya bought more Ruto's narrative than Raila's narrative. And I'll tell you how they were. Ruto went and told them bottom up. Ruto promised them in town halls how much money he will take to coffee, how much money he will take to the tea, how much money will go to Mau Mau Road, how much money will go to the dairy industry, the milk, like the good dairy, Mukurweini, Odaya. He promised them everything in the economy. So they were sorted. Understand?
Yeah.
What did Raila promise them? Do you remember what Raila promised them?
I remember he was talking about kupeana elfu sita.
To Mount Kenya. Raila went there with romance, isn't it? He went and said, you know what? Raila went with history, prehistory. You know, I've really suffered during Moi time. You see, we suffered, we ate tear gas. I was locked. Even Raila was showing videos when he was having tears flooding. You saw those things, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's more romance. There was nothing really substantive being promised to these people. I remember Raila was in Muranga one day and he was meeting the youth. So for him, he became a lecturer to lecture the youth on the history of Kenya and how much Kenyans have suffered, even himself. So I deserve to be your president because I've suffered. Isn't it?
Yeah.
Kikuyus never bought that narrative. They bought the narrative of nitaweka ugali kwa meza. Bodaboda mama mboga. Sivyo? Watu wa beba. Sivyo?
Yeah.
They bought that narrative. Now when the narrative was not delivered, then they rejected the man. The only way Ruto can get back Mount Kenya is to get the person who stole his manifesto and implement that manifesto. Mtu aliiba manifesto ya Ruto ndiye adui yake. Wacha mambo ya Gachagua, Kindiki. If Ruto can just get back his manifesto,
the one that he used during the campaign.
yes, and implement it, man, Kenya will be back. And I can tell him, don't gamble with Luo Nyanza. Yes, don't gamble.
Those ones will lie to you.
Yes, not lying to you. They might just love you, but they won't vote. Isn't it?
If they did vote during Raila's time.
Yes, they don't have energy. The turnout will be very low. In fact, the level of mobilization you need to mobilize them, you better just do with Mount Kenya. Mount Kenya can mobilize themselves. Kumira.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You hear that? But why is there any kumina in Luo Nyanza? Pale watu watakunywa busa, watakunywa changa, watakuwa napiga ma selfie, sivyo? Hakuna kitu hapo.
Driving their big cars.
But I'm not saying man Kenyans Luo Nyanza don't vote. If I'm running for president in Luo Nyanza, they'll vote for me. Because they'll vote for their son. Yeah. Isn't it?
Yeah. At least they have someone to.
In every part of the country, when the son of the soul is running, the turnout is higher. So I'm just comparing. When Raila Odinga was running, the turnout was low, isn't it? So if Raila is not running and there's no serious Luo candidate, it will only go down. And if it comes up, it will come up because of me or another person running, not just because of Ruto. You get my point? So that's what it is. And I would ask William Ruto to start looking at how Mount Kenya can come back. And I can tell him the formula. Mount Kenya, there was what we call Mau Mau Road, which is in Nyandarua, is Nyahururu. It comes all the way to Naivasha. It goes to Nakuru. On this side, it goes to Kilimambogo. You go to Machakos, Makueni. It comes back to connect to Nairobi again to connect Naivasha. That road was meant to feed Kenya. It was about food security. It was not just about Kikuyus only. It was about Kambas have these pineapples, isn't it? They have the oranges. They have the mangoes. So how can Kikuyus buy those mangoes? Maybe not even, but even buy and sell them, or even buy and consume, isn't it? And how can the Kikuyu sell their milk to the Ukambani community? Because see, Ukambani is a little hot. You won't do a lot of dairy farming there. So you can sell milk through the same road. It's inter-community trade. Even if you come these sides of Meru, also there are bananas, isn't it? How can the bananas access Mount Kenya, then later come to Nakuru, Naivasha, and the rest? That's Mau Mau Road for me, it should be done. If I was president, I could do it overnight. You get my point? Then at the same time, the dairy farming is hit hard. Mukureni Dairy, Githunguru Dairy, Othaya Dairy, they have milk which is rotting. Yet the president is importing powder milk. So stop importing powder milk and take the milk from the Mount Kenya people and sell them in Kenya. They love you back. Nyama Kimwa is not working. You get my point? These guys are traders. You make trade become difficult because of the taxation and so many taxes. When you have the airport, kila gunia na ingaliwa mpaka. Hata ukishuka kwa airport, even your bag carrying your dirty innerwears inafunguliwa.
They check.
They're getting my point? So these things were not in your manifesto. Who gave you this manifesto? Throw that manifesto away and give us the manifesto which was there. Kenyans will back to you. Don't do handshake with anybody. In fact, I want to correct this thing. Uhuru never had handshake with William Ruto that way in Ishaweri. I've done my research. Now I'm very informed. Ruto insisted to get a photo opportunity with Uhuru. And Uhuru was saying, really? But he insisted. Then he said, okay, come. Because he, as a gentleman, Uhuru is, welcome home. When he left, he said, asante kwa nyama.
Asante kwa nyama.
Sivyo? So asante kwa nyama ilikuwa nyama. Sivyo? But when the guy left, he created so many stories. Those ones were his own propaganda. He wanted to get back Mount Kenya through Uhuru, but then after that, photo stories and those nothing worked. So he is still unable to turn on Mount Kenya. Uhuru told Kenyans in the strongest term possible that Ruto's presidency will be a disaster. And he said it in many occasions, in English, in Swahili, in Kikuyu. And I'm sure that stance remains. So let us not see that Uhuru is with Ruto on this one. Uhuru is just a former head of state. They have a responsibility. If the sitting head of state comes to visit him, he will open the doors for him, isn't it? And just like for him, Moi opened the doors for him. Kibaki opened the doors for him. He has an obligation and duty to do that. So long as that is happening, William Ruto has to find a way to go to Kenyans directly. And the only way to Kenyans is through the manifesto, nothing else. Thank you.
Prof, as we wind up, your last statement?
Mine is to go back to selling hope to Kenyans. Let us see this year as a year where many things will happen. For me, I've been out of work for 2 years because of my stance against the government. And my stance has not changed, but what is happening is that I'm having a new strategy. My new strategy is that it's time to demonstrate leadership. We cannot stay for 3 years shouting Ruto must go without a deliberate method around it. So for now, my main thing is to offer leadership in academic circles, offer leadership in the corporate circles, but also offer leadership in the political arena, because I've learned politics. I cannot throw away what I've learned in 2 years when I've been an activist. I've been to Madari, I've been to Huruma, I've been to Kibra, I've been to Kangemi, I've been to Kawangware. I've slept in a cell. I know what happens. I have a network of everybody from every part of the life. I was in Malindi the other day. I was in Taita Taveta the other day. I was in Kwale the other day. I was in Mombasa the other day. I was in Lamu there. I was in Tana River the other day. So I have experience. I have network. So I will also offer political leadership, but not the one you think. But I want to say that Kenya is not having scarcity of activists. There's a lot of activism in Kenya, and the activism has worked. That's why when the guys went to the street protests worked. These guys were released, isn't it? Yeah. But also Kenya needs leadership. So in Kenya, there's crisis of leadership. And that's why I want to move more into leadership. Of course, when you're in leadership, you work with everybody. You work with activists. You have religious organizations. You work with the elders, isn't it? You work with the youths. You work with professionals, isn't it? And you work with everybody, even organizations which are in Kenya, outside Kenya. So also we need leadership. So academia does not mean you cannot do diplomacy, you can't do political leadership. Of course, when time comes when you want now to be a candidate in politics, that's when you run. But for now, I'm not a candidate anywhere. I am just having a movement called alternative leadership, Serikali Mbadala. So our option is to bring many people there, bring people into the bus. Once we have the bus full of the right people, then we can decide how this bus now, Nani,
the driver,
who is the driver, who is the mechanic, who is the makanga,
conductor,
Nani ndiye atasoma map, sivyo. Na Nani pia anafanya surveillance huko, kama bus naenda surveillance for security. So that's what we decided. But for now, leadership is what Kenya needs. Be a leader where you are. Don't just criticize, don't just shout, but offer direction, offer solution. Because if all of us are shouting, so who is being shouted at? Thank you.
Mine is just to say that many have been said, many will be said, and many have to be said. It's upon us Kenyans to choose what we want to hear, and it's also upon our leaders to look for or to think twice before they do anything, because anything they do from right now is going to affect them either positively or negatively. After all, guys, that is all we have for today. And Prof, thanks for coming.
Welcome, my brother.
I'm happy to see you, and I hope I'll see you again.
Thank you, and declare Jubilee in all our listeners. Hearing this year is your year.
After all, guys, that is all we have for today. And until we meet again in the next video, if it is possible, I have been your host, Boniface Awino. Bye-bye.
Thank you.